Please read the disclaimer. XRP is doing things that it hasn't done since 2018. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. The XRP roller coaster, whoa, right, continues. We have been at the lowest point, you could say October 10th. We're coming back with a little bit more excitement over the past few days around XRP. The question is, can XRP continue this momentum, or is this just a 3-4 days momentum that we have seen here for XRP, and then we see a big pullback or a return to the mean? So we're going to talk about that. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smishity smash that like button. If you're driving, if you're listening to me while you're driving, keep your hands on the wheel, but you can give that like later. Currently, XRP is sitting at $2.33, down about 0.5% since GMT time. We did see XRP go all the way up to $2.41. So if we take the yesterday from, let's say, from the opening of the trading of the ETFs, which was at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, to the high of the day in 12 hours, XRP was able to go 14% in that time frame. Of course, there's always going to be a little bit of a sell-off, a pullback when you have an asset that moves big intraday, and there's no real news. It's just built on momentum. You're going to have some times that you see these kinds of pullbacks. It will be very interesting to see from a technical standpoint. Will we see similar behavior that we saw yesterday? Meaning that Monday we saw a run up, right, to 216. Then during the night we saw consolidation. You could call it a pullback here into when the ETS started trading, and then we saw that run up. Will we see something similar happen today? Right now it's very early. It's in the US, it's the middle of the night. For me, it's about 10 a.m. here right now. So it starts trading at 4:30 my time, 4:30 p.m. So there's about 6 hours till we see if that happens. So it will be very interesting to see if we see something similar than what we saw yesterday happen again today. If we go and we look at the fear and greed index, you can see one good day we jumped all the way to 44. We're almost at the middle, right? And if we go and we take a look, the last time XRP, the fear and greed index was this high was November 3rd. If we go back and we look what was going on in November 3rd, right, you can see that this was the last time, right, we were basically here, right? Where was it? November 3rd. So Bitcoin was at 110,000 at that time, right? Right now it's at 93. Where was XRP on November 3rd? November 3rd, it was at 250. So it's about where we are right now, a little bit higher. It will be very interesting to see what happens, because again, when we're looking at the daily chart, we were looking at the 1 minute there. We had the breakouts here for XRP. We potentially were very, very close for the crossover here on the 1348 EMA. If you remember, last time we were looking at a run up like that after a long period of time where we had sell-offs. Remember, back in November of 24, we had that big run up, and it was a long time till we saw a crossover from the top. Well, this time it's similar, right? If we go back here, there were many flips, right? Flip here, flip here, flip here, and then we had momentum coming off of that low of 191, and we had the big run up. Right now, it's been a very long time. It was right before October 10th. We had the crossover, and now it's been, 3 months since then? Almost 3 months. Wow. And now we're about to have a crossover here with the momentum. And so it will be very interesting. Only concern that I have is the stochastic RSI is at the top. But if you go back and you remember when we had the momentum here, it was the top, right, going into that. And we still had the positive momentum. It will be very interesting to see where the market goes. And I think over the next few days, where the market goes, XRP could go, okay? Of course, there's always, some movers like I'm seeing now. Render continues to have big momentum, right? No signs of a pullback. Wow, about 80% in 6 days. It looks like Jasmine might be warming up a little bit too. So there are some shakers and movers, but of course XRP is a lot harder to move because of its market cap and a lot of manipulation that happens at the top there, a lot of algo trading. So again, we need to take that into consideration when we're looking at the price action right now. That there could be some pullbacks, there could be the market doing weird things. So again, I am very bullish long term, but these again are just my opinions, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Okay, very, very important. I don't know what the price action is going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I'm not a prophet. Short term, medium term, I do what I feel the market needs, and you have to decide what is the risk that you can take and where do you want to go with your trading, with your investing. Okay, it's very, very important to remember that. Something interesting that could be happening right now is the fact that something potentially very bullish could be developing on the XRP Bitcoin chart that has not happened in a very long time. It is about to break above the monthly Ichimoku cloud for the first time since 2018, which means XRP could potentially outperform Bitcoin in this time frame, right? If you remember, we keep talking about how the Ichimoku for XRP is always on a neutral, right? The Ichimoku baseline. I haven't seen it ever not neutral. It would be very interesting to see what could potentially happen here if we do see a continuation in the movement. Interestingly, suddenly, right, we had that little bit of a pullback. Suddenly, all the oscillators flipped here, right, and they're all red right now. Very, very interesting. Just that little bit of a pullback, and suddenly all the oscillators flipped. How much has it pulled back that all the oscillators flipped, right, from the high? This is very, very interesting. About almost 4% to that low there. Interestingly, that we're seeing that kind of flip here on the oscillators, where the moving averages are still giving us, the blues there. So we'll see how this is going to develop. And XRP is entering sustainable volumes with low risk indication of manipulation. Is moving much faster than the market, likely pushing up other tokens too. Potentially, we could see XRP, have momentum, but then profit taking into others, right? Because for now, Solana's been sleepy, Ethereum's been sleepy, and they haven't been, they're also down significantly. You could say, why XRP? Well, XRP did have the ETFs in this time frame start, trading. So did Solana, right? And so did others. HBAR also. So it's interesting that XRP is seeing the momentum right now. And we'll see how this plays out again over the next coming days. Will we see XRP continue with this momentum and the big volumes on the ETFs? I don't know if you saw last night. I made another video. I did 3 last night. Usually in the last few weeks, I've been doing only 2, and it didn't get much traction. I guess I don't know how the algorithm works. But in that video, we talked about how XRP ETFs had their largest day, right? And so of inflows. And so that factored into it. The ETFs were doing work yesterday. And so we'll see again what will happen here today. It's going to be a very, very interesting day. And you can see XRP ETFs were the top performing crypto ETFs and recorded their highest daily trading volume since launch. So we'll see if that is potentially going to continue. And of course, we have all the geopolitical stuff that's going on as well and could affect the markets. Venezuela's Caracas Stock Exchange ended the day nearly 17% higher as markets react to the U.S. capturing of President Maduro. The oil prices are dropping. Silver is recovering, right? Silver surges above 79 and is now just 6% away from new record high territory. 9% movement since the U.S. captured President Maduro. So we're seeing that the current global economic situation is affecting the markets. I've been watching a lot of videos about this whole situation and how it could be affecting, of course, oil prices, but also how it could be affecting countries, specific countries around the world and how that could affect them financially. And when countries are scared that there could be huge economic downfall because of one thing that happened, it's like a snowball effect, right? Then they could get unrest, and there could be, they could do extreme measures. So that's something that I am taking into consideration. I have that monkey on my shoulder, and we'll see what happens here in the next coming days. It will be very interesting to see where the markets go, because again, Bitcoin is still, some would say, needs to recover here. It did have yesterday, a new kind of local high, right? It did go over this level, but it ended up closing a little bit under that. But you could say it had its highest daily close basically since November 15th, right? And so again, there could be a crossover here also on Bitcoin. And if we have a crossover here, we have momentum. Then how we talked about, and maybe it was about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, where Jim Cramer suddenly went super bearish on the crypto market, and I told you that historically, whenever he goes super bearish on the crypto market, we usually see a recovery, and when he goes super bullish on the crypto market, we usually see a sell-off, just because he goes like with the momentum, and he goes where it looks like things are going, because that's how he needs to do his job, right? Basically, as that's kind of a person on TV, he goes where he thinks it's going to go, right? Where the momentum is going. If he goes totally against the grain, then he'll probably get fired from his job. Right. That's how the inverse Kramer ETF started. But it will be very interesting to see, what happens here, and can, the total crypto market also potential crossover. Look, when we had that crossover back in April, so we had momentum and we had a run up, right? Do we see something similar to what's happening now, right? Maybe this is a better indicator. The more better indicator, I know that's bad grammar, is others, right? So this others is excluding the top 10, right? And so you can see the lower caps had momentum over the past few days, and it kind of slowed down because we saw XRP moving, right? But you can see over the past 5 days, about 15% to the others. So again, that could be indication. If we have a crossover here, then we could see the Bitcoin dominance coming down, right? And dropping, and that is the sign of altcoin season, is when Bitcoin dominance drops down significantly. But again, we have to be careful, right? Yes, Bitcoin is at 93,000, but we did open a gap up there at New Year's, right? And so that does put some concern, right? We had that gap here from 88,000 to 88,800, right? That small gap, but it never got closed. And interesting, there's another gap here that opened up. So yesterday, right, from Friday to Monday. So we also had a weekly gap open up. So again, these two gaps are concerning because we know that Bitcoin closes the gaps. And if Bitcoin is in negative momentum, it's would be very surprising if the rest of the crypto market is in positive momentum while Bitcoin is in negative momentum, but we've seen things happen before. But I just want you to know that this is a possibility for pullback, because I know how it is, and I know that the other channels are going to be all up in the excitement. But again, that's why you come watch my channel, because I keep you. I'm not a party pooper. But I try to keep us grounded just because of my experience. I know a lot of the other YouTubers, they don't have the life experience. They have not gone through the things that I have. So they have gone through other things, maybe, right? But they don't have my specific experience. So that gives me, I think, an edge on them, so sadly, right? We got to take every experience and make the positive out of it. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you can be part of the notification nation, drop a comment, 8 for infinity and beyond. And don't forget to smash that like button. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. The end.